Hey folks, my name's Dom and welcome to B-Fly Bricks. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, the Razorcrest, already an icon, and to me it's right up there with the Ghost and the Falcon, but I'd argue it has a cool, stylish appeal unique to itself. And I think the official version of the set was a bit of a letdown, and it deserves a really decent mock attempt, which I have done using set 75292 of course, and it's not a UCS version, it's more like a system scale version with UCS style details. And I've also made a wee plaque here with IG-11, he's in caring mode with a baby bottle for Grogu. To give a sense of scale, here it is next to the 2019 Blockade Runner, and yeah, it was already a fair size, but you can see it's a pretty big mock now, but certainly not UCS sized. I will get in depth in a minute, but I'll quickly show you the features and feel free to skip to the parts that interest you most. There's a carbonite chamber, fully retractable and very strong front and rear landing skids, a couple of rotating front cannons, opening side doors and a rear door as well, weapon storage for Mando's guns and stuff, a much larger interior, a far larger and elongated front fuselage, and loads of greebling details. There's a lot to show you, and I don't do instructions. I think most people like me can kind of figure out building techniques and stuff just by looking. So let's start with the cockpit. Mando has plenty of consoles around him, and really important for me was the ball piece that Grogu likes. That's actually a microphone piece. I made custom red chairs, and there is space for 3 of them, which can be added, but I like having just the 2 of them in here for a bit more space. In universe, the floor is a kind of bluish and grey colour, so this is perfect, and I've added the ladder down to the main area, and you can even get your hand in there. Behind that is another hatch which has more weapons stored and you can get access to. I felt for play purposes, giving access to this area was really important, and you can place figures in all these areas with the studs on the floor. The front curved area to me was one of the worst things about the official set, so I spent a lot of time reworking this. It's quite a simple arrangement underneath with those blue corner studs on side pieces used to hold it all together, and this did take me a long time to figure out, especially as it had to be a solid build and not fall off, and it doesn't, it's really strong. The top canopy piece is one single build now, and it runs all the way along and at the correct angle. It is clipped in place by these 2 pieces here, and believe it or not, this connection is very strong and holds it in place. I added trans clear pieces just like the real thing's windows, and the front canopy piece is really tricky to attach. I had to make a 7 stud wide build to do it. So to connect these archway pieces in the middle, I used quite an unusual build. If I take this off, you'll see there is a 1 stud wide piece in the middle. And with this hinge angled this way, it connects perfectly to the canopy, and it's exactly the same on the other side. And these 2 pieces connect it to the ship. And I think this looks very accurate now, it fits in perfectly. And once this canopy is off, you can access this area too, and this is good to show you that the angled wing construction which is sitting on those turntable pieces is built. And this whole build is very strong and it holds this section in really well. I put curved plates on its edge, which pushes these wing pieces in place and then becomes a really solid construction with all the clutch power of every plate here holding it in place. I feel this section was one of the big letdowns with the official set, and it wasn't accurate with all the curves and the angles, and I haven't done anything revolutionary here. It's a lot of simple tricks and nonsense. Now for the front cannons. Well, they rotate. Do they in universe? I don't know, but I think they probably should, and it's a pretty cool play feature. It's a Technic rod through a gear inside, and it rotates both of the guns when turned. I straight up copied the UCS Slave 1's rotating blaster cannon build. I mean, like, I took apart my Slave 1 and copied the exact same build. It was really just that simple, that easy to do. And it looks and it plays really well, it's cool. Now onto the side doors. Well, there's a few and they all open nicely and don't break like the original set. This rear one has Mando's disintegrator attached to it, and I put one on the other side for Cara Dune's weapons. I think she's got like a big cannon, blaster cannon thing. And this door is smooth, man. The front section is like this. You can see the interior now, and it's a really solid door on the front, and it's at an angle as it should be too, and it uses those parts on the bottom, the grey domed pieces, to nudge it out as a half stud. The weapon storage isn't exactly as it appears in the show, but I made it easier to get the guns off when playing with it. Inside here, I elongated the bed and made it a wee bit nicer. Grogu can also sit in here too in his wee bag, and it's just generally a wee bit bigger and more spacious. On the other side is the space toilet. Oh, and I should mention that the guns have to rotate upwards to open the doors. I don't know why this trooper is here. Let's replace him. Ah, Cara Dune, that's better. It is a wee bit small for them to get in and out. It is a little bit cramped, and it is a bit too small for them to stand up in the door frame, but you can kind of bend them over to get in here. The back ramp is cool though, and it fits a figure standing up, which is better than the side door. In fact, there's a lot of space in here, and the walls are just sloped bricks with wing plates on the top. It's a really simple build. You can see Mando's Beskar spear in here, and there's also a computer screen. Now, this whole area is really strong, and I can hold it anywhere, and that's partly due to the underside of the tail, which has a reverse studs build, which holds everything on the top and the bottom in place. I took a while analysing photos of the ship in the show and models of the ship made by Hasbro, and to get this angle right, you know, it's really quite easily achieved in Lego form. It just took a wee while to figure it all out. Up here on the tail, I smoothed it off and bulked it up with slopes, and I added the tail gun, which features on many of the models, although I don't think it fires in the show. This whole top area, I really enjoyed adding all the details, like plenty of these little shiny chrome parts and the half tiles and studs. Sometimes you can get carried away with adding too much greebling, but I think I've got the balance right, and I've tried to get that curved kind of look with the chrome pieces. Yeah, it's turned out really, really well. Now for the undercarriage, probably the hardest thing to get right when I first started doing the mock. The underside has rows of studs on side bricks to put those slopes on, so there's not a lot of room, but you can kind of see how I did it from this viewpoint. And from the left hand side, you can see there's no gaps. It's just like it looks in the show, I think. This skid is on a simple Technic hinge at the front, so I can kind of move it back and forward. It's rigid enough to pull it back and forward without it ever coming off. The back two rear skids had to be big enough to take the weight, but also had to be flat to sit underneath like it's meant to. So I used reverse stud square tiles, which kind of looks really nice. The two Technic arms do the job and they are really strong. For a closer look, you can hopefully see the construction if you want to copy it for a similar mock. I added a sloped piece above as a buffer to stop it kind of opening out too wide. And it's easy to pull the skids out. It's smooth, but that's due to using the blue Technic pins, which is annoying because they're blue and it doesn't look so good. But if you use the grey or tan ones, they are the very loose versions and the skids don't stay in place. It's without doubt one of the best features of my mock, and LEGO could have done something similar with the official set. My kids love opening and closing in them and landing the thing. It's just a cool feature. Onto the carbonite chamber. LEGO had the escape pod in here, which of course is correct in universe to the Razorcrest, but I wanted a different play feature. Those curved chrome pieces look great here. I just wanted to point that out, that it is actually correct, as on the model there is a curved section right here. I wish I could have made the whole ship that colour. And these curved wheel arches are the silver ones from Poe's Black X-Wing. So let's remove it, and yes, it's dark, but there's no doors open. But inside this gap, I can fit my hand and I can place Cara Dune inside with ease. And I love having that much access. I probably could have made this into an escape pod as well, but I like the carbonite pieces. They fit on underneath, and this orange piece is a nod to the Bespin colours for the chamber. It's held on by these two anti-studs here. And you know, I think this is a much better feature. You can take this out with ease and the kids can claim the bounty and attach other ones or whatever. And believe it or not, just the clutch powers of these two studs is enough to hold this in place. It doesn't fall out. Now onto the engines. The official set actually did a really good job with the front, but they forgot the back. And you know, I'll be honest, I didn't get this exactly right, and that's mostly due to my desire to use those stickered curved panels that came with the set, so the engines probably should be slightly bigger. They come off just the same with the Technic pins. It's a very strong build. And here you can see I've curved it off as much as possible, but it's just a bit flat at the front. The underside though is much better. This big piece is correct, and I put the big grey bit at the back, added a space wheel and some fire, and you know what, I'm quite happy with it. I reworked this section to fit a larger engine and to make sure there are absolutely no gaps. And like I was saying, these are a solid build, so once it's connected, it's really strong. Like, I can support all its weight, holding the engines, and the kids were swooshing about using them as well. It's probably one of the best ways to pick up the mop. This side is the same, but I swapped out a few colours to make it a bit different. I wish I could have made it a bit more curved and less flat at the front like I was saying, but hey ho, it's just one of those things, and it was a slight limitation on the parts I have. Oh, and I also added some red lights here, as the Razorcrest does actually have them on either side. You know, when I look back at the original, I can't believe this is the best they came up with. This is all wrong, and it just doesn't look accurate. And you know what, I really hope I've done it justice without going mental with loads of extra parts or making it huge like a full-size UCS one. I've just added extra details, a smooth surface, way more play features, and most important, I think, is accuracy. And I think LEGO really could have done a better job with their first attempt. My Razorcrest's back door is a wee bit too small for me to fit a blurg inside. I had considered making one out of this thing from the Force Awakens, but the legs are too tall. And you know what, it's just a little bit too tricky to figure it all out. It would have been cool though, and it would have been really cool if LEGO had done that originally. If they'd made a blurg to go along with a Razor Crest with a door wide enough to fit into it, would have been really smart. If you think it's a worthy mock attempt, then give this video a like, as it helps spread the video to more people who might be inspired to build their own version of this fantastic ship. I really enjoyed the build, especially as I ended up rewatching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus again with the kids, which was always good, but it was a really great reaction from my kids once I'd finished the mock, and they loved playing with it. Now, if you want to hang around, I just want to show you a few behind the scenes type footage of how I built stuff early on, and I go into a bit more detail, which is something a few people have asked me to do in the past, and I'll also briefly explain why I was so dissatisfied with the original. Well, for starters, the front came off really easily, and the side doors break all the time. A couple of swooshes and the doors open all the time as well, and they open up to reveal a pretty empty interior. These angled plates also snap off very easily. To be fair, it is a strong frame, but inside there's nothing really here, and it's awkward to kind of get your hands in there, I found. The front sleeping area is brilliant though, I'll give them that. The escape pod is fine, I guess, it fits Mando as well, but this top area is so annoying. You can't fit your hands in there to play or move things around, it really frustrates me. The cockpit is terrible, it's inaccurate, tiny, and it should have somewhere for Grogu to sit and include that ball thing he likes. This side door is good though, a good build, but the sloped area joining the wing looks terrible. I started with the cockpit area after taking it apart, and I built the rotating cannon first, then fleshed out the curved front area afterwards. And as I said, this is just a straight up copy of the UCS Slave 1 build. Then I worked on the front canopy and extended the whole front section by about 8 studs long. I also connected the elongated rear Technic frame. Those black pins on the frame connecting the up and the bottom portions are what really give it strength. Without them, it would not be possible to add the extra weight, and they were really tricky to cover up with tiles and stuff. Next, I worked on the rear skids and tried multiple versions of this. I built them before I added the fuselage cladding, and originally they went out quite a bit wider, as you can see here, so I had to kind of find a solution for that. I didn't even have 4 of those Technic arms in the same colour, so on one side it's black and the other is grey, but you know, you don't really notice it. I extended the tail by 6 studs and added a lot more cladding. This central area needed to be removed entirely to fit the carbonite chamber. And I had to remove that white plate in the middle to make space for it all. The rear guns were built using Technic pins and studs on side parts like this, and it was quite a challenge and a few attempts to get it right. For the rear and the back area here, I figured out the left side first and then added tiles to the floor before I did the right side, and I basically copied what I'd done on the other side. I did use a similar Technic frame but made it wider and added doors and top access rather than the flimsy large doors from the original. I'll be honest, Technic isn't my strong point and I found this really difficult. Just prior to filming this section, I dropped the whole thing on the floor and it fell apart really badly, but it led to me rebuilding it the next day in a much better, stronger, and I took my time to get the Technic aspect right, and all the more better for it. Once I rebuilt this area, I had a gap within which to work with for the carbonite, and then I built up the layers of greebling around it. Well, I hope you liked it. It's a huge project for me and one of my longest videos, so I hope it's worthwhile watching the whole 20 odd minutes. But I think I've made a better version of the original set, and I did reuse pretty much every part in its construction. If you think it was a worthy build, then subscribe to the channel, as I have a few future builds you might be interested in, as I'm working on a Partisan U-Wing and a Partisan X-Wing which featured in Rogue One and the Rebels TV show, and I'm also making a mock of the Ghost from Rebels using parts from the original set which came out back in 2014, so you can check them out when they arrive in the future. I've also got a UCS style system scale Millennium Falcon build I did on my channel in its early days. It's a bit of a rough video, but check that out too if you're interested. Thanks for watching, folks. Please do give this video a like if you enjoyed the mock, and I hope it inspires you to do something similar to a Razorcrest of your own. And I'll catch you next time. Bye!